Hey guys, this is Miss Vogel. I'm sorry that I don't get to see you all in person, but this is how we're going to do class for today, which will hopefully mean that you can all go home safely and stay warm and not be out on the roads. So, we're going to skip a little step in the political parties lecture. Next Tuesday, we will talk about the modern party system and how we get to the two major parties that we have today, the Democrats and the Republicans. We'll get to all of that. Today, we're going to focus on a different aspect, and that is the question of what parties do. Parties, as you know from the last couple sections of lecture, become more powerful over time. The longer we have the parties that we have and the longer we have the party system as a whole, the more elections they win, the more power they are able to have, the more influence they have on the people, on media, on all of those sorts of things. So, when we look at this, the amount of things and the kind of things that parties do have changed over time. And we'll talk again a little bit about that on Tuesday. But when we look at our modern parties, they are responsible for a number of things. Now, remember that the job of the political party is to win elections. So the big thing they do is campaign. The big thing they do is work at getting their members elected. So the national party organizations will raise money. They'll organize events. You can see here, this is a photo from the last campaign, the Republican National Convention. They got Clint Eastwood to come. He talked to a chair. It was very entertaining. So they will organize events. Among those events are the party conventions. They will recruit and organize volunteers. If you are interested in volunteering politically, the county level party organizations are a great place to start. They will also purchase campaign materials like these signs that you can see here. And also the signs that you'll see out in your neighbors' houses and those sorts of things during election times. They will also defend candidates from negative statements from the other party. So it's very common in an election cycle to see members of the same party defending one another, coming out and saying, no, that was totally wrong and I support this guy and he's great. Now, before they get to that, they also are often in charge of recruiting and nominating candidates. If you're a political party, you want to get up-and-comers, new people, popular people to take on your party ID. This tends to be something that happens pretty rapidly as soon as you enter politics in this period. But you want to recruit people that are going to be good. You want to recruit people that are going to be quality candidates that your party members are going to like, that are going to be persuasive. So this begins at the very lowest political level. The first time someone's interested in running for office, they will likely talk to a party at that county level and see if they can get that support. Now, they also provide a framework for voters. So when you go and vote, especially if you vote in a primary, you may be likely to vote dependent on that party. So in Texas, we have Republican Party primaries and Democratic Party primaries. We'll talk about that more when we get to campaigns and elections. But if you know that you are a Republican, then you are going to be likely to find a candidate from that Republican Party that you will like whenever you go to the voting booth. You can see here, this is a primary ballot, so these are all Republicans running for president. Now, it is much easier if you know your party and then you know that that candidate is going to be somebody that you like. Now, once they get elected, the parties also provide opportunities for leadership in the House and the Senate. So party members hang out together. It's like a club or a sports team or a church group. Any of those things would be similar. You know that these are people that share similar interests with you. You know that you have the same goals, and so it makes sense that you would hang out and help each other out. Now, today, what I'm going to ask you to do in your activity is to look at a specific thing that the parties do. The modern parties all do this. That is the party platform. A party platform is a written document that is put out at the National Party Convention where the parties outline their goals. This is like their New Year's resolutions. In the coming election cycles, we will do this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing, and that's how we're going to do it, and this is why you would want to elect that party. So each of the parties comes up with their own. So the Democrats have one and the Republicans have one. You will also be looking at a third party platform from the Libertarian Party. I've picked them because they have been the most successful third party in the last few elections. And I find that many students find them to be quite persuasive. So I've included that third party in there for a little bit of an extra perspective. But when you look at this party platform, you're going to be looking at the party's goals. You're going to be looking at what they want to do in the coming election. Now, these platforms are from the 2012 election cycle. So they're a little bit old at this point. And of course, you know that that there was the election there and that President Obama won and that sort of thing. So keep that in mind kind of historically. These are written before the 2012 election. But this will hopefully show you kind of what the parties are thinking about and what they want. Now, let's see if we can transition over to here. So this should be what you see whenever you're looking in Angel in the Lessons tab. So to find your assignment, you're going to go here to Classroom Assignments, and then you're going to go to Online Assignment for 2614. So that is where we are headed. Now, I want to sort of preface this by saying this is not the original assignment I had planned, but since we're not meeting in person, this is how we're kind of going to break this out. So the first thing you should do is read over the instructions here. So you're going to be looking at the party platforms, where you're looking at the goals. I'm breaking you out into groups. The original plan would have been that I would have separated you by your political ideology quiz that you were going to bring in, but since we can't do that, I've just divided you randomly. So for this first part of the assignment, you may be working on a party that is not your party. And I'm sorry about that, but that's just how this is going to work. So you want to look, first read over the assignment and then go look at where you've been assigned. So your number one job is to look over your assigned party platform and your assigned policy area. You will notice when you look in the group assignments, you have a party and you also have either social, economic, or foreign policy. If you're looking at social policy, those are going to be things like where does that party stand on abortion, gay rights, welfare might be also in there, the environment, anything that is going to affect your ability to live your life socially in the world. When you look at economic policy, that's going to be things like minimum wage, regulation of businesses. You might see environmental legislation as part of that as well. That's one that kind of blends a little bit. When you're looking at foreign policy, that is going to be how are we going to interact with other countries? Are we going to stay at war? What kind of economic policy are we going to practice whenever we're talking to China? Those sorts of things. So once you get your party and your policy assignment, your job is to read over that assigned platform. So you want to find the party. I've got links posted to the two major parties and the Libertarian platforms from 2012, so that shouldn't be a problem. Click those, find your people. Once you find your platform statement, you need to skim. Notice I said skim. Do not try to read the entire document in detail. The Libertarian one is short and you might be able to do that, but the Democratic and Republican ones are quite long. You want to skim through and find the statements where they're talking about your policy area. After you've kind of read through that and figured out what policy sort of positions they're taking, you're going to go into the discussion board and you are going to write a 5 to 7 sentence summary of that party's goals. So what did that party want to do in that area? What do the Democrats want to do in regard to social issues, so gay marriage and abortion and those sorts of public morality things? Now, after you do that, I want you to do some analysis, and this is where it's okay to question. It's okay to be critical. Think about whether or not these goals are attainable. Is this something they could actually conceivably do? Is there a good thing that might come out of that policy goal being met? Are there problems that might occur if these goals were met? You want to think pros and cons. This is practice for your policy project. Now, after you do all of that, your discussion board post is due by tomorrow at 10 a.m., so you have plenty of time to read through your platform, make your discussion post, and still finish off your textbook questions. After you do that, after 10 a.m. tomorrow, I want you to go and read over your classmates' posts. You don't have to read all of them, but you should read at least one post per each party and each policy area. I want you to become familiar with what the different parties do. After you've read over that and you think you kind of have a handle on what each party does, what their goals are, I want you to think about your results from the political ideology quiz that you were supposed to take. And I want you to find the party that is going to best fit you. Now, once you've done that, what I want you to do is I want you to take out a sheet of notebook paper. I want you to put your name on it. I want you to tell me which party fits you best. And I want you to tell me a little bit about why that party fits you best. What issues do you think are most important? What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take all of your papers up on Tuesday, and I am going to use those issues that a lot of you are interested in to help center our coming debates. The further we get into the semester, the more we're going to debate political issues. So write down stuff that you would want to talk about. And be ready to turn that in and talk about it on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we'll do the Constitution fact quiz, and we'll also talk a little bit briefly about parties, the modern party system and third parties, before we move on to interest groups. If you have questions, please let me know. Let me show you. So if you go back into this folder, here is where your groups are. So this is for the first class. You'll see you've been assigned a party and also a policy area, so you need to focus your work a little bit. I've assigned you at random, so I did not intentionally put any of you anywhere before you get all snarky. Now, here are the party platforms. The Libertarian one is here. When you go here, this has GOP. GOP stands for Grand Old Party or the Republicans. GOP equals Republicans. And if this thing will ever load, which hopefully it will do for you better on your computer, you should be able to see the party platforms and select the party that you want. Once you've done that, this is where your discussion board goes. So you'll make your post here. Again, 10 a.m. on Friday is when I want your post made, and then I want you to check back after 10 a.m. and read over your classmates' responses. So, questions, email me. Otherwise, you guys stay warm, stay off the roads. It's a little bit nasty in the city of Denton right now. I've been out. So, stay warm, and I'll see you all on Tuesday. Bye.